Hey guys, and welcome back to another free plugin Friday. Hope you are doing well. Today we are looking at a plugin from Acustica. Now I haven't really done any Acustica plugins, and they've got a couple of free ones, so we're going to take a look at Tan. Now there isn't much information about Tan. I believe it's based on a VCA style compressor. I'm not sure if that's like an SSL bus compressor or more like an SSL channel compressor or a DBX or various other VCA compressors. Not a lot of info on it, nothing on the website. I had to look at, I think it was Gear Sluts or one of those forums to find out. But we're just going to dive straight into it. I'm trying to make Free Plugin Friday a little bit more succinct. I know I tend to make very, very long videos, so I'm trying to make it more succinct. So we're only going to do it on a few sources. We're going to do it on a full mix, kick, snare, bass, and vocals, and that's it. So let's dive in. I've got this track here. Basically, it's a demo. It's kind of rough. It doesn't have a lot of dynamic processing on it. So I kind of wanted to see how effective this is, if it's good or not in that kind of case, rather than using like a fully mastered track or something and then trying to use it there. So let's quickly talk about features and then we'll listen to it on that. You got basic things: gain reduction meter, threshold, ratio, attack, release, gain, dry, wet. So they're kind of normal. Dry, wet is really cool. You've got this SH mod. Now I believe this affects the curve of the attack. We'll see that in practice. As you turn it up, you seem to get less gain reduction, so it must just mod how the attack is going, or it might be a side chain, not exactly sure. And you have a preamp as well you can turn on and off. So compared to a lot of plugins that do simple, but compared to a lot of analog plugins, has a few extra features. So let's just play this. We're going to play it dry and then try and dial in, use some of these controls, and then move through each of the different sources. So let's turn the plugin on. Get some of that threshold down so you can hear what it's doing. Fairly smooth there. It's a little bit pumpy though. Let's look at the different ratios. Now these ratios seem to adjust the threshold at the same time, which a lot of analog gear used to do, which is really cool. So let's keep it at 8 so we can hear what the attack and release does. Let's go to the attack. We might put the release in the middle at 4. So this is really clamping down. You can hear it pump at the end. And of course we're letting a lot more through there. So it's a bit pumpy at this stage. I mean, we're setting it for a lot of gain reduction. You can hear it pump a little bit. I do wish there was an auto release, so let's have a look at the release time. We're going to bring the attack down all the way so you can just hear the release. This is a quick release. So bring the threshold up a little bit. Yeah, now you can hear it pumping, right? It's really pumpy at these low release settings. Bring it up. Starting to smooth out there. So that's 1.6 seconds, I'm guessing. Even then, it's just a little bit pumpy. So let's adjust this SH mod, which adjusts the attack parameter. You can hear the gain reductions going down there. So you really probably have to balance this SH mod and this attack together to kind of get the optimum kind of sound. So let's bring the attack up. Bring that ratio down to 2. So now, and you can see I brought the ratio down, right? It's actually giving it more gain reduction because of the way it's affecting the threshold. So let's get about 3. What you'd normally do on a 2-track kind of situation. Let's gain match it. Now there is a little bit of pops when you kind of turn it on and off, which is kind of annoying. It's just how, I just think it's to do with the latency and how Cubase deals with it. Might not happen in your DAW. While I like the character, I don't think it's suited for this application. So I don't know if it is based on the SSL bus compressor, because it's just a bit too pumpy and a bit too obvious. Even if we're only got here. Now, we could probably dial in dry and wet. So I'm just going to pause a second. So you could probably dial in that dry wet, I guess. But to me, it's kind of just mushing it around. It's not really gluing. I kind of want this to do glue. I've read people using it as glue, but I'm not quite feeling it. We'll just quickly mess around with some more settings. Well, that's a bit better. It's a bit smoother. It's still pumping though. Let's use the dry wet though. It's also changing the frequencies a little bit. It's nice and warm, but you might not want that on your master track. It might be taking up too much highs. Obviously, you can add them back in. Let's listen to the pre. We'll bring all the wet up and listen to the pre. Turn it off. It's quite subtle. It's adding something. So far, while it does have some qualities I like, definitely not something I'm going to be putting on the 2 bus. It's just too pumpy and too kind of... And maybe for dance music or something that would work. We could try to add a dance track. Maybe we'll do that at the end. Just add some kind of dancey thing in there to have a listen to how it reacts to that. But for this kind of rock stuff where I want a subtle glue, probably a bit too obvious on it. Let's listen to it on kick, which is kind of the opposite. Let's see if we can get it nice and fast for kick. So this is bypass. So this is just the kick in. And you can hear it's quite dynamic. Now this is doing what I expect a VCA compressor to do, and this is what a DBX does. Unfortunately, well, I don't know if it's unfortunate, I'm just going to loop this section. It takes away the low end. Now DBX compressors do this too. They obviously sound a little different. This is a little bit warmer, but definitely takes away the low end. Now you can add that afterwards. But if we listen to bypass again, that thump in the low end, especially that low mids. It's almost like there's a high pass on the entire signal. Let's mess with the SH mod, see if we can bring it back in. Maybe the attack. Definitely gives it a lot more punch. It's really punching through there, especially with these attack and release settings, so it could be cool for that. Again, it's just the way it alters, very mid-range heavy. So it actually could work on guitars. I don't really have a guitar track set up here, but definitely could work on guitars. I can see that. Maybe if you just bring in a bit of the dry wet though. So let's go even harder. Bring that attack back. So this is fully wet. So this is off, maybe we'll go 50-50. It's still a little bit pumpy. So on kick, does kind of that VCA thing that I kind of have an issue with. Now, I use the Slate what's the red one, whatever that's called, which is meant to be based off a VCA compressor too, but doesn't have, maybe it's the transformer, maybe it's something, it doesn't have that low end robbing that I've found on other VCA style compressors, which I really like, because I don't like robbing the low end. Like I said, you can add it back in, but it's just an artifact I've found with those kind of VCA compressors. Anyway, let's have a look at snare. What can it do for the snare? So there's a bit of bleed with this snare. It's basically a snare top. I tend to want to get a little bit more crack out of the snare, a little bit of length in the decay. Let's see what we can do. It's really bringing that ring up. Let's listen to the pre on and off again, because we looked at the pre before, but I want to see what it's doing to the snare. Oh, there's a little bit of saturation. You can hear it on the kind of the snare sound, that little bit of sizzle there. It's just a bit flatter with the pre on. A little bit more sizzle comes through. That's kind of cool. Let's bypass. It really brought up that kind of cymbal bleed, but also kind of brought the snare together a bit. It's the snare sounding a little bit, the top sounding a little bit separate from the actual snares, if that makes sense. The actual thwack and the snares don't seem to fit together as well. So it works good there. Let's try the ratio at 4. Just down a little bit. And you can, if you want to bring more attack in, of course, the dry wet's really useful for that. So on snare, I like it. It works well on snare. Now, the big one is bass. It robbed the low end from the kick. Will it do it for the bass? Now, for me, I like really compressed bass. So let's have a listen. Let's have a listen on the bass. So bypass. Now there's a bit of chorus on this bass. I just want it really smooth. Oh, straight out. These are scenes I kind of left it on. It is blending. Let's listen full. Let's just get really heavy. Let's see what we can get. So we still want a little bit of attack in those kind of staccato parts. SH mod doesn't seem to be doing much here. I think because it's not so percussive thing, and maybe because the release is so long. Let's go to this ratio. So that sounds smooth to me, and so a little bit of pumping sounds alright. So if we bring it down, it just brings together that kind of all the different aspects of the bass, glues them all together, which is kind of what you want from this kind of plugin. And makes it more even overall. Now we add just the kick. I'm not going to put it in a full mix, but with it, once you can hear it with, say, a kick, you can really hear where non-compressed, it kind of falls away a bit. Now, any compressor is going to do that, obviously, but you want one that's really smooth with less artifacts. And again, you can use the dry-wet blend. Turn that kick off. Maybe we take even more out. It does seem the gain is just for the compressed signal, which is good. Sometimes it's for the dry signal as well, which is really annoying. So I'm just trying to match it there. And then we can dial that in. So as a parallel, that kind of works. Let's listen to the pre. Go fully wet, listen to the pre. The pre is adding warmth. Again, it's subtle. So let's just listen bypass again. See, I like it on the bass. I think it works really well. Definitely a bit surprised on the bass. I struggle with compressing bass sometimes. Usually I chain a lot of compressors. This sounds pretty good, especially with a bit of parallel. So these are the dry vocals. They're pretty dry. Let's listen to them without Tan.
I don't know what to say.
No reverb or anything. We're just raw vocals.
My tongue 'cause it's so
They have been EQ'd slightly though.
here right next to you.
And you can hear my there is a bit of de-essing going on, so there is going to be a little bit.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause
I
it's
think there is a little bit of compression on it
I
too.
don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you.
So there's a little bit pumpy there. Let's get a nice gentle ratio though, maybe.
I don't know what to say.
Because you want it to come in without it
but I
sucking in
can't
too much.
hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold out in the wilderness. I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my
Let's go for long
tongue 'cause
release.
it's so cold here right next to you.
I'm getting a little bit of that pumping coming in, which isn't the nicest. Some of that's already from the de-essing and the compression I've already got. But yeah, you can hear that if you listen to this.
I don't know what. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know what.
See that's not really good.
I don't know what to say.
Obviously with less threshold, but that's something I always try to avoid, those transients, really pulling it down.
Out in the wilderness.
If we made the attack quicker, it might be a little bit more natural. Let's see.
I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold here right next to you. I don't know what to say, but I can't hold my tongue 'cause it's so cold out in the wilderness.
So the pumping factor for vocals, maybe with a lot of dialing in, could work. Now I prefer to use 1176s and LA2As than VCA compressor on vocals. I just don't think they work on vocals that well, but some other people kind of get decent results. That's just my preference, and it's also my vocals and the way I process them. So take that with a grain of salt. They may work for you on vocals. Now, lastly, I did just want to quickly try on a little bit of like another kind of track. So I'm going to bring in some kind of dancier track. We'll see what I've got in here. Got a lot of. This was one I used. I used it as the intro to a couple of videos I did. Let's add Tan to it. Now it's already fairly compressed, so like I said, I try not to do master stuff like this, but let's have a listen to what we can get. Again, you can hear that pumping, right? That's if you really wanted to pump, you could do something like this. It's almost like a sidechain pumping compressor now. Blending it could work, like I said. Turn the pre off maybe. Again, I think an automatic release there could improve that. There's a pumping artifact that it does remind me of some of the cheaper DBX stuff actually. Very VCA compressor-y pumping artifacts. So that might work for you, but it isn't probably a plugin that you could use on everything, but it's free. And it does have a sound. There is a warmth to it, that kind of EQ curve it has. There's a little subtle kind of harmonic stuff going on that does seem to be nice. Now, I did love it on bass. I thought it was cool on bass and could work on drums in the right context. Just dialing in that attack and release. An auto release would be actually really cool, I think. But it is a free plugin, so I'm not going to complain too much. So either way, thanks for watching. That's been Acustica Tan. I have hopefully made this a little bit shorter than normal, but I do want to go through a few different things. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.